Good afternoon, everybody. Today we're going to talk about the first match of the playoffs in the LCK between Damwon Kia and Bro. Bro came in as the 6th seed with a 6-12 record compared to Damwon Kia, who came in 5th place with an 11-7 record. Playoffs in the LCK are a little bit different compared to LPL and LEC playoffs. In the LCK, it is a King of the Hill style bracket where the lowest seed competes against the next highest seed in a best of 5, and then the winner goes against the subsequent seed. Meaning DK and Bro play each other, and then the winner of DK and Bro plays KT tomorrow. In game 1, DK had Cassante in the top lane, Jarvan the Forest in the jungle, Victor in the mid lane, Yunara in the bot lane, and Melio as the support. Bro had Rumble in the top lane, Nafiri in the jungle, Orianna mid lane, Saya ADC, and Rakan support. Game 1 started off pretty slow as both DK and Bro were playing extremely safe. However, Showmaker was getting some incremental leads on Roamer, beating him out in the early laning phase. Gideon was able to win a Scuttle Crab fight at 3 minutes thanks to his bot lane, and was able to get the Scuttle Crab before going to the other side of the map and getting double Scuttle. Gideon was able to build this incremental lead, and eventually he was able to use it when he tower dived Smash at 11:30, getting first blood for Teddy. At the same time that this was happening, Korea roamed top lane and cancelled Casting's back. This caused Casting to stop his back completely and have to go in with the next wave. Rakan was following up behind him, so Casting thought that he was safe, but unfortunately Jarvan and Melio were hiding in the tri-bush and they were able to come out and kill him. Korea then dove Casting again between towers at 14 minutes with Lucid and killed him once again. Bro was quick to respond to this, as Gideon and Teddy dove Siwoo in the top lane and killed him. Both teams then grouped up and fought each other at Herald at around 15 minutes and 25 seconds. Gideon ended up dying and the objective wasn't taken. Both teams reset and then fought again at 16:30. Casting does a really good job of pulling Showmaker and Cassante out of the fight. This essentially splits up DK to fight on 2 different sides. Despite killing the Rift Herald, Jarvan dies and Roamer lands a really good Orianna Shockwave onto the bot lane of Damwon. This buys just enough time for Teddy to show up and clean up the rest of the fight. This was one of the big turning points in the game, and Bro was able to capitalize off the lead that Saya got. The next big moment came at 28 minutes and 25 seconds as there was a big team fight in the mid lane. Nafiri was able to engage on Yunara using the Orianna ultimate, and Smash had no ability to react to the play. Off that play, Career and Siwoo also died. Bro was then able to capitalize off this teamfight win and get the Baron Asher. Lucid also lost his GA in the process, and Showmaker died, trying to stop them. After this sequence, it looked like Bro had the game in the bag. They had a big lead, they had Baron, and they had 3 dragons. So all they had to do was play for Dragon Soul and slowly push, and then get the second Baron once it respawned. However, they decided to push their advantage, and at 33-20, they had a massive fumble in a team fight, with Casting teleporting in the middle of the enemy team and dying immediately, and then DK was able to ace Bro and end the game. This is probably one of the biggest throws I've seen in LCK in recent history, and it really shows the lack of experience of Bro players, especially since most of the team is comprised of rookies, aside from Gideon and Teddy. If we look at the post-game lobby, we can see that Bro was ahead by about 4k, and they had 3 dragons. All they had to do was wait for the next dragon to come up and forced a fight at the dragon, and then take it from there. But they rushed and got aced in the mid lane, and DK was able to finish off the game. Going into game 2, the sentiment was that the series was going to be a lot closer than people expected. Bro put up a really good fight in the first game and almost took the game. Bro's draft included Gnar in the top lane, Pantheon in the jungle, and Nivea in the mid lane as a counter pick, Caitlyn bot, and Bard support. On DK side, we had Tristana top lane, Lee Sin jungle, Ryze mid lane, Siggs bot, and Camille support. At the start of the game, we can see that Siwu positions himself behind Gnar, so Gnar is forced to go by him and take a bunch of damage in the process. We also see that Showmaker and the Nivea have been trading with each other, and Nivea actually loses the egg here on purpose to try to regain some health, but does it in a really bad spot and ends up tanking a lot of damage. And Nivea then takes a bad TP in the middle of the lane, and Lee Sin is able to just poke her out as soon as she gets there. With the wave in a bad state, Ryze is able to step up and do some additional poke. This is really bad for the Anivia because, as you can see, we're about to start fighting for the Scuttle Crab. So Showmaker takes an opportunity to just go straight for the Anivia and gets the first blood here. This allows DK to win the fight and take the Scuttle Crab. Urier then heads topside and looks for a gank on the Gnar. He's able to get right on top of Gnar here, knock him up, and then Tristana is able to jump in. Camille then hits him with the ignite and finishes him off. As you can see, Gnar did not use his flash, and at this point, he's already down 600 gold in the top lane, and the Anivia is already down 600 gold in the mid lane. While Camille is topside, Six gets engaged on by the Caitlyn and is able to burn both of her summoners. Caitlyn is then punished at the 10-minute mark for not having her summoners, as she is thrown into the tower range, takes a tower shot, and then is finished off by Smash. With the lead that Six has been able to amass in the bot lane, Camille is now free to continue roaming and looking for kills, and they tower dive the Anivia, take her egg, and kill her once again. At this point, the Anivia is down 1700 gold to the Ryze, and gets solo killed in the side lane. At this point in the game, DK has about a 5000 gold lead up on Bro. At this point, DK is sitting on a 7000 gold lead. Bro try to engage on them, but they fail. And then Siwu follows up off of the Camille engage and kills the Caitlyn. He's then able to land another Q and finish off the Pantheon before finishing off the Bard. Then he lands a nice Q over the wall, follows up on the Anivia and kills her as well. At this point, the game is basically over. Game 2 was a pretty big shellacking from DK. They ended up the game with almost a 14,000 gold lead, and they also took every objective, including the Void Grubs, the Herald, and the Dragons. In Game 3, Bro decides to sub out their mid laner Roamer with Loki. I think this is a situation that's pretty unfair for both players. On one hand, you have Roamer who gets subbed out in the middle of a series. On the other hand, you have Loki who gets put into a series in the middle of an elimination match and he has to perform right away. So it's an unfair situation for both of the mid laners. At the very start of the game, you can see that Gideon feels really pressured to make something happen early on. He tries to invade Lucid, but is unable to do so effectively. And ultimately, the Shen ends up taunt flashing over, and Gideon gets first blood. 4 minutes in, Career ends up overextending with his taunt, which Ezreal immediately cleanses. This leads to a 2v2 fight where ultimately Shen is killed. Before he dies, however, he's able to ignite the Ezreal, which allows Mel to finish him off. Even though this fight ended up being a 1-for-1, DK comes out ahead. At this point in the game, Lucid has a very big lead up on Gideon, and also the bot lane of DK has Praya, so Lucid is able to just take the dragon by himself. Liu is a very aggressive player once he's ahead, and at this point in the game, he's looking to leverage his fedness in order to get his other lanes ahead. So he engages the bot lane of Brion between both turrets, and Mel is able to get a triple kill, even though Siwu dies. By the 20-minute mark, DK is already up almost 12,000 gold. They're really far ahead. So Brion goes for a desperation play here with the Nico flank. The Nico flank unfortunately only hits the Shen, and then Wukong takes on 3 members by himself and ends up getting a double kill. Since DK already had Baron buff here, they just opt to keep pushing in and ultimately end up finishing the game. As we can see, game 3 ended up in a similar manner to game 2, with DK just running away with the game. I don't think it was a good idea for Bro to sub out their mid laner in the middle of a series, but I do understand why they did it. Since they were in an elimination series, they had to try everything possible to get a win. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. I felt like Gideon was really pressured to make a play early on, which ultimately led him to invade Lucid and end up giving Lucid first blood. Lucid was then able to transfer that lead into dragon objectives as well as kills for the Mel in the bot lane. I think overall this series, Bro did as well as they were expected to do. They did have a very good game 1, but unfortunately they threw that away, and that did end up affecting their mental going into games 2 and 3. I think we clearly saw the lack of experience that this team has going into a playoff series. The team is very young right now. They have 3 rookies and 2 veterans, and this is their first major playoffs. I think DK did a really good job this series, and they brought a lot of hope to their fans that maybe they can start a run in this tournament. I think Lucid and Showmaker popped off today. Career had some really great picks that we hadn't seen before, such as the Camille and the Shen. And now he has 21 different unique picks that he's picked throughout the split, which is the most in the LCK. In terms of Siwu and Smash, I don't really think we saw a huge performance out of them today, but it wasn't their fault. I think Lucid and Showmaker and Career were just doing a really good job of getting early game leads and getting the team far enough ahead to the point where Smash didn't really have to carry in order to get a victory for the team. So going into the next series against KT, it'll be interesting to see how Showmaker is able to match up against BDD. I think if DK brings out performances and drafts like they did in games 2 and 3, they have a really good chance of taking KT and winning that series. But if they play like game 1, then I don't think KT will allow them to come back in the way that Bro let them come back. For those of you who stuck until the end of this video, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. LCK has been one of my favorite leagues for about 12 to 13 years now. There's been many ups and downs in the league, but I think that currently we have some of the most exciting matches and some of the best players in the LCK history playing right now. Um, This channel will serve as a way for me to document the games that I've been watching. Um, I'm still learning a lot about video production and commentary and all of that stuff. So I would appreciate any feedback that you guys can give me in the comments. I also want to ask you guys to leave behind any comments regarding what you think of the series, who you guys think will win, who you guys think will make it to MSI and qualify for EWC. Tomorrow we have the match between DK and KT, so I'll upload another video going over that series, and then we'll keep going from there. Ultimately, I plan on covering EWC and MSI, but from the Korean team's perspective. And then I'll be covering the LCK when it starts the new split. Anyhow, thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you guys have a great day. If you guys like the video, please give it a thumbs up and please subscribe. Thank you.